Give it a little shout out. Yep, we're live. Hi, everyone. This is Just Ask JT. My name is JT O'Donnell. I'm a 20-year career coaching veteran. I used to work in the staffing and recruiting industry, and I left and became an advocate for the worker because I saw so many people making mistakes in job search, in career planning, just in the workplace in general. And I thought, well, what can I do to help people have a fighting chance? Because if you think about it, it's like Davy and Goliath, that old story, right? And so you've got this huge company that you work for. It's got a team. It's got all these people working together, and there's you. And so you've got to have a coach in your back pocket. You've got to have somebody that can tell you the right things to do, the wrong things to do. I was just on a live, and a really great question. We were talking about interview, and this woman in my platform, she gave the answer to the question about why she left her last job. And I was like, you got to stop right there. You are classic TMIing this, and you are way too emotional. And she's like, but this is what happened. I go, no, this is what happened in your mind. I can tell you right now, there's 3 sides to every story. There's your side, there's their side, and somewhere in there is a version of the truth. But the reality is the way you're projecting the story, the amount of information you're giving looks suspect. And I know that's not you, but this is a beautiful example of how job seekers will go in unprepared and not prep for interviews correctly, and then they blow them because of TMI, or the opposite of that, not enough information. So that is the topic of today. We are going to be talking about interview prep because there's way too many of you out there blowing job interviews because you're not prepping correctly. Okay. So let's break it down. There are 3 phases to the interview: before, during, and after. Before an interview, your job is to research as much as possible. There's a new standard in interviewing. You shouldn't be coming into the interview asking what the company does, right? You should be able to do a lot of research on the company, how long it's been around, how big it is, what they specialize in. You should know enough about that company to feel a connection to it. Research a company until you find at least 1 or 2 things that light you up about them. By that, I mean, you could say from your own personal or professional past, how you feel connected to what they do, who they are, the customers they serve, right? Connection is key, because when we're hiring somebody, when we're going through interviews, essentially everybody going through the interview process has come in with the same baseline set of skills. So now we have to discriminate and choose which of these people is the best one for the job. Well, one of the big ways we choose is by how connected they feel to the business, to the mission, to the work. That's because that guarantees us that you're going to have a lot of self-motivation. The technical term's intrinsic motivation, but self-motivation is this idea that you're going to be so inspired to want to meet and exceed expectations because you feel connected to the business, to the work, to the customers, whatever it is. So researching in advance so that you can build out that connection is vital, critical to doing well in the interview, because you can bring that into the interview answers. Okay. Now, the second thing, or the second phase, is actually being in the interview. And I will tell you right now, where people really screw this up is they do not prepare for the dreaded behavioral questions. Behavioral questions, also known as open-ended questions, are a way for you to be required to give more than a 1-word answer. Last thing we're going to do in an interview is ask you questions where you just say yes, no, yes, no, yes, no. We're not getting to know you when you do that. So behavioral questions are things like, tell me about a time when you had to do this. What do you think your greatest weakness is? How do you feel about blah, blah, blah? Okay. We ask you these questions that make you talk for a while. And that's how we get inside your head and see how you think. So it's a way for us to, 1, prove that you are what you say you are, right? We can ask you questions that require you to share your knowledge, your experience, your past experiences, and really validate and authenticate that you know how to do the job. But it also reveals your personality and your aptitude, which are 2 equally important components when hiring somebody, because we want to hire somebody that can do it the way we want them to, has the same values, etc. And we want to hire somebody that's going to get along with the rest of the team. That's why they're asking you those behavioral questions. Now, there are 18 common behavioral questions that get asked in job interviews. And if you would like those 18, I got great news for you. They are inside my brand spanking new free resource center. So everybody jot this down right now. If you go over to workitdaily.com, you will see free job tools at the top, and you will be able to get instant access, no credit card required, lifetime instant access to our free resource center. And in there is my job search boot camp. And as part of that boot camp are the 18 most common interview questions. All of that is inside the new free resource center at Work It Daily. Okay. So go get those questions and work on them. Write the answers out, read them back to yourself, because where people blow it in these behavioral interviews is that they don't give the right amount of information. It's kind of like the story of Goldilocks. They either give too little, so they don't sound credible, or they give too much and they sound narcissistic, desperate, and kind of flighty, right? If you really know your craft, you should be able to give this answer with a beginning, a middle, and an end. One of the techniques that we teach all our members at Work It Daily, because we do a ton of interview prep inside Work It Daily. In fact, I just came off of a 45-minute live interview prep session with my members, okay? We make sure that you are saying the right things, giving the right information in the right way. And one of the frameworks that we teach is something called experience plus learn equals grow. And this is a model for choosing how to answer that question. So our members take those 18 questions, they write out their answers using experience plus learn equals grow, because we actually have videos inside our paid platform for every single one of the 18 questions. And then they're able to submit those answers to our coaches, where the coaches will review and go, no, you're not saying that right. Oh, no, I wouldn't say that. Oh, you want to switch this, right? If we can show you how to give the right amount of information and not overdo it, or maybe give information that'll work against you, that will help you immensely. So at the very least, you should be writing out your answers, reading them back to yourself. People often say, shouldn't I do a mock interview? Before you even do a mock interview, you should absolutely be writing your answers out, reading them out loud. You'll catch a lot of stuff right there. You'll realize how you're sounding. But if you're looking for help beyond that, you should check out our platform, because inside Work It Daily, you can work with our coaches directly on your interview prep. But at least for now, please go to the free resource center. It's linked in my bio. It's linked over at Work It Daily. Get access to the platform free so that you can at least get those questions, okay? Because interview prep is the key for nailing the job interview itself, all right? Now, the last thing I'm going to tell you is, after the interview, the most important thing you can do is send a thank you note to every single person you meet, every single time you interview. I don't know that people understand that. If you go through 4 rounds of interviews with a company, you send a thank you note every single time. Every single time. That's a knockout for a lot of companies. If they've got 3 really great candidates and one of them doesn't send a thank you note, out. Not kidding. So you always want to send a thank you note. And the good news is it's not hard, because all you're doing is giving thanks. The mistake people make here is they try to sell themselves in the thank you note. Too late. Your chance to answer questions, build connection, and sell yourself was in the interview itself. The last thing you do is write this epic novel of a thank you note where you're like, just to recap, I think I'm great for the job for this, this, and this. That's not a thank you note. That's, a self-promotion note disguised as a thank you note. We don't do it. Thank you note is short and sweet. Thank you so much for speaking with me today about the XYZ job. I really enjoyed talking with you about blank. Name something you talked about. Really looking forward to next steps in the process. Boom, done, over. Okay. And there you have it. Interview prep basic 101. I mean, this is the bare minimum you should be doing. Bare minimum. 1, researching the company properly, finding your connection. 2, prepping for the behavioral questions, the 18 most common ones, so that you can answer them correctly. And 3, sending a thank you note every time you interview afterwards that is short and sweet and not self-promotional. This is basic. If you're not doing those 3 things, there's a really good chance you're not going to move forward. Okay. Now, if you would like to learn everything front to back, inside and out, like if you want to ace interviewing so that you are more relaxed and more confident, I got you. Our interview prep inside Work It Daily is literally like stealing the opponent's playbook. It is the #1 most popular course in our platform. The completion rate by our members is insane, and everyone will tell you it is a game changer. So if you would like to take it a step beyond, nail your next job interview, all you have to do is go over to Work It Daily and grab a 7-day free trial. Why is it free for 7 days? Because for some reason, people just can't imagine investing in career coaching. Everyone thinks they're going to get in there and there's just going to be some, crummy PDF and that's it. It's not like that. We are the #1 online career coaching platform, and we will prove it to you. And we're so comfortable, we give it to you free for 7 days. So you want to go in, you want to find the interview prep tool, and I challenge you, go through it. If you get through my entire interview prep course and you don't feel changed, tell me. Obviously, you can cancel within 7 days. It'll take you a day to go through it. But I am telling you right now, you'll be changed. And then when you see how good the interview prep is, you need to ask yourself, what else am I doing wrong in my job search? Because so many people are looking for work the wrong way. And that's why we built the absolutely incredible job search program. We have a step-by-step course that interview prep is part of. It's just one part of it that makes sure you are doing the right things and avoiding the wrong things. You want to speed up your job search right now. You want to get a new, better paying job faster. You need to be in job search school, 15 minutes a day. 15 minutes a day over the next 7 days in a 7-day free trial. And I guarantee you will be a different person. Okay. So interview prep, there are basics that you can't even deny or skip, or you're going to be out. But if you really want to accelerate, because remember, nobody gets a job without an interview. Plain and simple. Nobody gets a job without an interview. If you want to nail your next interview, our interview prep course is the bee's knees. And I'm proving it to you by giving it to you free for 7 days over at Work It Daily. Okay. Awesome. All right. So let's get into questions. This is Just Ask JT. This is the live show I do every Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday at 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on LinkedIn, TikTok, and YouTube to help all of you out there earn more, stress less, and love your job again, right? So let's talk about getting new, better paying jobs and how to do that, okay? So happy to have you all here. If you have a question, feel free to pop it in the chat. I am going to go here and see what's going on with my peeps over at TikTok. Bear with me, my little TikTokers. Let's see where you're at. Let's get this party going. If you have a question, let me know. Oh, there's so many of you on there. Yikes and beans. Very fun. Let's see. There we go. Oh, you guys are the best. I love you too. I love you all too. All right. You start bringing those questions. Now that I've schooled you on interview prep, let's get into those questions. You know I love them. I love them on this very rainy, cold, almost snowy day in New England. I am ready to bring it. Also, it's my last live of the week, right? It's Thursday. Ooh, where does the week go? Reminder, you can watch all of my podcasts over on YouTube. We record them all. Just Ask JT is over on the Work It Daily YouTube channel. You can go back and watch all the good stuff. Yesterday, I talked about why you aren't getting job interviews and walked you through what is working right now in this economy. So if you did not see yesterday's episode, I'm going to show you how to get a job interview in 2025. Go on over to the podcast, listen to it. Guarantee you 15 minutes later, you're going to go, I did not know JT. I did not know JT. Let's talk about it. If the question, let's see. Remote jobs, company hiring that you recommend to apply. Oh gosh, that's really great. Folks, the hottest question I get right now are where are all the remote jobs? And the reality is that they are dwindling by the second. A lot of companies are doing return to office, as well as a lot of companies are outsourcing their remote jobs overseas to save money. So the number of remote jobs that are available right now is condensing dramatically. Companies are just done with it. Now, here's my prediction. Whenever you have this much disruption, whenever you have this many layoffs, right, that are going on, there's a lot of innovation that happens. And it's going to be quadrupled because of AI. So right now, there are so many little startups being built that are going to become big companies. And when they do, they start out remote because what? They save a ton of money on real estate by not having a physical office. So I think one of the biggest places people are sleeping on remote opportunities are small startup companies. A lot of startups are fully virtual and are willing to give you a remote job, and they want top talent so they can give you that remote job while simultaneously saving on real estate. The big companies, not so much. The big companies are going to bring it back into the office. That's what's happening. Big trend that we're seeing. But with the smaller companies, that's like the thing they can give you, the benefit they can give you is a remote job. Yeah, which is great. Awesome. So be looking at the companies, think it through, think about what's happening in the market, think about who would want top talent and could see remote as a benefit. Plain and simple, it's startups. And there'll be a lot more startups in the next year for sure. The next Facebook is out there. The next Meta is out there, next Google, the next Apple. In 2 years, you're going to hear about this little tiny startup that blew up. Happens all the time. All the unicorns come out of times like this. So that's exciting. And if you get on the ground floor of one, ooh, that's a good thing. Awesome. Let's see. I'm in round 3. I got asked for references through Robert Half and now got the posting through a different recruiter. Yeah, that's so interesting. So what do you do when you're working through a staffing agency and they've got you set up for a job and now another staffing agency comes along and they've got the same exact job? What do you do? The reality is you've already signed on with the first staffing agency. You should not pursue it with the second. You should tell the second one you are already in the works with the first. You want to be very above the board. I'm going to say this over and over again. Omission is lying. When it comes to job search, omission is lying. You want to be on the up and up, above board, and share what's going on with both of these sides so they understand. Because the second organization can't pitch you. You're already in with the first organization. They're going to get the credit for you. Yeah, so be really careful with that. Awesome. Let's see. Will is saying, I have a group interview set for next week. Very fun. Working on my interview prep and researching the attendees as well as the organization and assembling my questions to ask and open-ended question prep. Any additional tips I should add to my preparation? Hit less. Well, first of all, let's give a shout out to Will because Will is doing everything right. Today's theme is interview prep. And Will, like you get like a check, 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 ding, 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 a student. You are absolutely covering all the bases. Will, I feel like you must be a member of Work It Daily because for you to know to do all those things screams Work It Daily member, right? Like we really know what we're doing. So the fact that you're prepping so hard makes me super, super happy. Couple things I would say is don't be afraid to read your answers out loud to yourself every single day. A lot of people think the only way they can prepare for a job interview is a mock interview. I don't agree. Before you even get to a mock interview, you should be reading all of your answers out loud so that you hear yourself. Psychologically, it trains your brain. And if you do that every day leading up to it, you will be so sick of hearing your own voice. Now, why is that important? Because when you go into the interview and you start to talk, you've already done this for 2 weeks straight. Something about it calms you down. You're like, oh my gosh, I've said this 80 times in the last 2 weeks. Here we go again. And you come across more relaxed and controlled, right? You didn't memorize. You just talked about this enough. It just kind of rolls off. Folks, if you've ever had to say something over and over and over again, if you had ever had a job where you just say the same thing over and over and over again, you get what I'm talking about. You can say it so calmly. You can be doing your grocery list while you're saying it. That's where I want you to get with these interview answers, Will, because when you do that, you're going to land so much better in the interviews. That's the first thing I would do. The second thing I would do is a mindset thing. Please recognize that if this is a company you'd love to work for, then this is not an all or nothing situation. All right. A lot of people go into interviews and think it's win or lose. I got to win today or I'm out. No. We're going to play the long game here, Will. We're going to play the long game. We're going to say, I want to work for this company. My goal in this interview is to develop a rapport, is to answer and really treat them like they're already my coworkers because they will be someday. And so if they're already my coworkers, I'm going to say and do the things I would do if they were already my coworkers. I'm going to give that vibe and feel. And I'm even going to say to them, look, I want to work for your company so bad. I really would love it to be this job. But if not, my goal in this meeting is to develop a relationship with you all so I can stay in touch so that I can work here someday. Think about how that sounds. It sounds so good to an employer when somebody says that, but it's also going to take the edge off for you. You're going to calm down as well because you're not making this a win-lose situation. Okay. So those would be my 2 additional pieces of advice, Will, but most importantly, you're crushing it the Work It Daily way. And that's what I want to hear. And for those of you that are not doing it the way Will's doing it, get your butts into Work It Daily, grab a 7-day free trial and start the interview prep because it is already hard enough to get a job interview in this market. Do you really want to blow it? Do you really want to not be as prepared as you can be? The answer should be no, you want to be prepared. We'll help you do it. Awesome. Awesome. Let's see. I had a last interview in a long process. It was on Monday. Should I message the interviewer? Okay. So first of all, anytime you interview, what do? We send a thank you note. Anytime. So if you interviewed on a Monday, you should have sent a thank you note. If you send a thank you note, that's all you can do. If you didn't send a thank you note, send it now. Right? I would definitely send it now. Folks, every interview, I don't care if they take you through 2 or 10 rounds of interviews, every interview you send a simple thank you note. Thank you so much for meeting with me. Really enjoyed talking about X. Looking forward to next steps in the process. The only purpose of the note is to show thanks and respect. That's it. We don't sell ourselves, nothing. But we show consistency in our actions by sending a thank you note every single time. Vitally important in this market. I know for a fact, I know employers for a fact that the way they knock somebody out is if they don't get a thank you note. That's key. And you can come at me in the comments and be like, well, that's silly. Well, guess what? They've got their pick of candidates right now. So little things like manners matter. And that's what we have to be paying attention to in this job market. And that's why you're here, right? I'm going to share with you all the little tips and tricks you need to know so that you can stand out against all the people that aren't on this live podcast today or aren't listening to this and are blissfully ignorant and are going to do the wrong things, which is going to make you stand out, right? I love it. At what point is it better to change jobs and leave the devil you do know for the one that you don't? Oh, that's really funny. Ooh, that's $1 million question right there. Okay. So, folks, I always tell people, you know, it's time to leave a career when you feel you've gone as far as you can with the money. You feel you've gone as far as you can with what you can learn. And you feel like it is not going to evolve and stay relevant in the industry. There are 3 factors there, right? So money's one of them. Did you hit your plateau money-wise? Number 2 is, have you hit your plateau in what you can learn? But that number 3, that's probably the trickiest one because you have to research and figure out, is this job still relevant? Will this job be relevant in a year? Will it be relevant in 5 years? There are a lot of people right now sitting in jobs, making good money, not really learning anything new. We call that the cash cow. And they're not paying attention to the fact that that job won't be here in 5 years. And they're like, that's okay. You know, I'll just bank all the money now. Well, that's fine. But in 5 years, when you lose your job, it's going to be a lot harder to change careers. A lot harder. It is harder to get a job when you don't have a job. So for all of you out there, you should always be looking at your current career and saying, is there room to grow financially? Is there room to grow from a learning perspective? And most importantly, is there room to grow? Will it stay relevant? Is this job evolving with the times? Will I still have a job? If not, start thinking about a career pivot. 100%. Does that make sense to everybody? Yeah. By the way, I keep mentioning, very exciting. We put together a free resource center. No credit card required, unlimited access. All you got to do is get your membership. It's a free resource center. The link is in my bio. It's down here, or you can go over to workitdaily.com and you'll see free job tool, okay, at the top in the menu bar. In that, we put our 4 most powerful webinars. These are worth over $1,000. Other places are charging like crazy. You're getting them free because we're proving to you we're the #1 career coaching platform that's going to teach you what you need to know. That's why we're giving it away for free. In there, one of the 4 is called How to Choose a Career Path. If you are not sure about what career you should do next, go watch that webinar. You will understand and break down exactly what you're going to have to do. I promise you. It's so powerful. So go check it out. Totally free. All right. Awesome. Let's see. Besides the obvious, what's the best way to answer? Why do you want to work here? Oh, yeah. Okay, here we go. So when you get asked the question, why do you want to work here? There is a secret thing that you can do that's going to really resonate with them. All right. So you have to have what's called a connection story in order for them to feel like you are the right candidate for the job. So the mistake that most people make when they get asked, why do you want to work here? Is that they use like, well, you know, with my 15 years of experience in data analysis, this data analytics role is ideal for me because I will be able to exceed your expectations. And they sell themselves. That's not what they asked. That's not what they asked. And they missed the boat. When I ask you, why do you want to work here? I need it to come from here. And that's what's going to make them feel connected. They want to hire somebody that gets them. So in advance, and again, did I not just tell you in this session, interview prep, you want to look for a personal connection or a professional connection that deeply resonates with you. Maybe you use their products before and you love them. Maybe your family's used their service. Maybe you are obsessed with their customer base. What is the thing that gets you to feel something for them? Again, pulls you into the organization. That's the story they want to hear. That's what's going to tell them, oh, this person gets us. They're one of us. They're going to feel a sense of satisfaction here because they have a connection to us. Okay. I'm going to give you two examples of that to really drive this point home. All right. So if you get asked the question, why do you want to work here? I had one gentleman that I worked with. He had been a paint store manager. He went through management training program, running a paint store. Good career. Okay. He wanted to become a financial planner. Now he's in his 30s and he wants to become a financial planner. Totally changed careers. So when I asked him why, he said, oh, well, last year my dad died unexpectedly. He owned a business. We thought everything was fine. We found out the business was in financial ruin. He had left my mother in financial ruin, and she was not only going to lose the business, she was going to lose the house that she had lived with him for their entire 25 years together. He's like, so I spent every night and weekend going in, understanding the books, figuring out what was going on with my mom's finances. I was able to salvage the business, sell it, and have enough money so that my mom could stay in the house. He's like, I never, ever, ever want to see somebody go through what I went through again. If I can become a financial planner, if I helped even one person, I'd feel like I made a difference. Oh, like the best connection story ever. So much so that he picked his top 5 places he wanted to be a financial planner for. He got interviews with 3 of them and ended up getting a job with his number 1 pick because of his connection story, right? So imagine when they said to him, why do you want to work here? And that's the story that came out, okay? That's the secret. I'll give you another one. I had a woman, hated her job, wanted to change careers. She was in office management, was obsessed with the Life is Good company. When I asked her why, she said, well, I had a bad day at work. I went over to my sister's. My nephew opened the door and he's sitting there with a peanut butter and jelly sandwich and he's got a Life is Good t-shirt on and it's holding a peanut butter and jelly sandwich. And I just died of laughter. I'm like, okay. She said, what you don't know is for the last month, peanut butter and jelly was the only thing my nephew would eat. It was making my sister crazy. She was calling the doctor. She was worried about his health. And the doctor was like, look, he'll grow out of it. That's what he wants. That's what he wants. So she threw her hands in the air and bought him this t-shirt. That's why I love the company. I was like, great. When you get an interview, tell them that story. She got an interview. She got a job. Folks, all employers want to feel connected to you. You've got to share the connection. So when they ask you, why do you want to work here? Please don't give them some BS answer where you're trying to match yourself. It sounds so inauthentic. It doesn't sound right. Give them the story from the heart. And that's why you do your homework in advance, because you shouldn't be going on an interview if you can't find something to connect with. As I said earlier in my interview prep, vitally, vitally important. Awesome. Wonderful, wonderful. Let's see. Very, very good. Oh, for the question, why did you leave? Do you admit that you lacked confidence to go after a promotion? Oh, I think that's interesting. Folks, you're always going to get asked, why did you leave a company or why do you want to leave a company? And it's really important that you give an answer that is factual and fair. So this is, again, why we do interview prep. This is why you go through that answer and you think about it and you provide some evidence to support what you're saying. So if, for example, the real reason you left is because you lacked confidence, you want to share that, but then you also want to share what you would have done differently to get a different outcome. So for example, I might say, that's a good question. I'm going to be really honest with you and say, I left that job because I lacked the confidence to go for the promotion. And I look back now and realize that was a mistake. I should have had the confidence. I should have worked with a mentor and I should have gone for it. And that's a hard lesson to learn, but it's one that I'll never forget now. And it's why I am a lot more confident now and going after what I want. See, the point of the story there is to be accountable for your actions and just own it and then talk about what you learned from it. Anytime we have a situation in our career, folks, that is less than ideal, it didn't turn out the way we wanted to, or maybe we made a mistake. We didn't intentionally do those things, did we? I mean, did any of you intentionally try to make those mistakes? Of course not. It's just how things end up. So what you do is you own it in the sense that I learned from it. Here's what happened. The facts are the facts, but here's what I've learned. And here's how I'm going to use what I've learned to be better for you, which means you're getting a better quality candidate because of that very powerful experience. That's how you need to frame that. And when you do, we're like, oh, right. All of us in HR and hiring, we're like, great story. Love that you learned. Let's move on. It's when you don't answer that way that we're like, what's really going on? What are they trying to hide? Why can't they answer that honestly? Interview prep is everything. You've got to get these answers right. Yeah. Thank you for all the gifts. I really appreciate it. Love it. Love it. By the way, Lola said, she's commenting, and I just want to talk about it. She said, I was 9 years old filling out job applications for my immigrant parents. That's how I got into HR. Like, Lola, boom. That is a connection story. I got into HR because I remember filling out applications for my immigrant parents because they couldn't write them. And I thought, what could I do in this business to make it more accessible for other people? Like, how can I serve those candidates out there? Oh, I mean, great story, my friend. That's what I'm talking about, folks. You got to find the connection. I've had some people on social media say to me too, why does it have to be so hard? Why? I just want a job. Why do I have to say these things? Because it matters, folks. We want somebody that's engaged. We want somebody that gets into the job and wants to exceed expectations. We're paying you to do a job. I'm sorry, I don't want somebody that just phones it in. I want somebody that has skin in the game. And in this market, when there are hundreds, possibly thousands of candidates, we're entitled to find the person that can do that. That is the reality. If you are that anti-job and you're that like angry and negative, I got a class for you. It's called Breakthrough Your Career Burnout, and it's free. It is a webinar that is inside my free resource center that I keep talking about. Link in bio, link below. Free, no credit card, nothing. Just get in there. You need it. And maybe somebody listening to this today knows somebody that I'm talking about. You know that snarky person who's making excuses, playing the victim, blaming everybody, angry, angry, angry. That person needs Breakthrough Your Career Burnout. Do them a solid today. Send them over to Work It Daily and say, go grab the job search tool, the free resource center, and watch Breakthrough Your Career Burnout. Because the amount of baggage and anger and frustration you're feeling are like rocks. And they are weighing on you and making it impossible for you to move forward in your career. And I don't want that for you. I've worked with so many people over the years that are just so heavy with depression and anxiety and anger with respect to their job and their career that I built Breakthrough Your Career Burnout for them. And maybe it's for you. But if you love someone or you know somebody who's really struggling right now, they're not going to get through job search because everything they do just reinforces that they're failing. See, it didn't work. See, I got rejected. See, like that is of no value. We've got to fix that. That's what Breakthrough Your Career Burnout is all about. Okay. So hopefully you go check that out. Again, it's totally free. It's my gift to people because there's so many people out there affected by it. I have served 16 years in the military, finding it difficult to find too many jobs for me. How should I adjust my LinkedIn profile to fit the job searches? Oh, yeah, that's a great question. So this is for all my military folks out there. First of all, thank you for your service. Okay. And secondly, you do have a unique challenge in that whatever you did in the military doesn't easily translate to the private sector. One of the biggest mistakes I see, we work with a lot of military folks inside Work It Daily. We help them revamp their resume because we have to translate what you did in the military to help the everyday HR person, hiring manager understand and visualize you being able to do their job. So if you are in military, you know somebody that's in the military, please make sure they work with somebody to have their resume properly translated. Then they need to do interview prep because they have to be able to answer interview questions in a way that people can understand. Such a mistake I see military folks making is they get into interviews and they start using all these acronyms, right? There's this whole second language in the military that people use. And they start using all these acronyms. Well, you might as well be speaking Greek to somebody who doesn't speak Greek because they don't understand you and you've just lost the interview. So again, you've got to translate it and talk about it in a way that people can understand. I'll tell you the upside. Companies do love to hire people in the military because they're very self-disciplined and they're used to structure and they're very driven and they hold themselves highly accountable. I'm not kidding. Companies love to hire military people when they can understand them. So if you can translate your resume and get your interview prep right, you're going to be in demand. But otherwise, it can be a really difficult transition because you don't know how to make that switch. So please get some help with that for sure. Yeah. Awesome. Very good. Let's see. Oh, you guys are so sweet. Thank you for all the likes and the loves and the diamonds and the shares. I really appreciate it. I appreciate all the follows. Like, I realize that I don't have the most exciting social media platform. I laugh sometimes when I see like I love them. I follow them, beauty influencers and fitness influencers and foodies and all that stuff. And they've got like 16 million followers. I'm like, oh, if I could help 16 million people with their jobs, I would be the happiest camper on the planet. On the planet, literally. Like I just saw Michaela Nagela is a beauty influencer on TikTok, 16 million followers. And I was like, can you imagine the good in the world I could do if I could help 16 million people understand job search? I would be the happiest gal in the world. But it doesn't work that way. I am just grateful for each and every one of you. All of you here listening today, thank you so much. You could be scrolling and distracting yourself with a million different things, but instead you're here in job school, and that makes me really happy. Where can I find a resume template that will make it past the ATS? You cannot, and anybody that tells you they have such a thing is a liar. Okay, folks, let's get it straight about resumes right now. There are over 100 different ATS systems, applicant tracking systems. No two companies are going to use the same one, and they're not going to tell you which one they're using, which means resumes that go through ATSs are all going to be a little different. On top of that, as of right now, there's a 0.3% chance you will even be contacted anyways because of the sheer volume of applications that are being shoved into ATS systems right now because of this job market. Stop trying to make an ATS friendly resume. Stop. There's no such thing. And any company, any AI tool that claims that they can do that is lying to you. Okay? What you need is a readable resume, because the only way you're going to get hired is if somebody, a human, actually reads it. Okay? And the way you get a readable resume is you build it in what's called the 6-second skimmable format. Today, recruiters will look at a resume and spend about 6 to 13 seconds on it. Studies prove this. Okay, go Google search it. And what they do is the human eye works in a Z pattern. And so they go through your resume in a Z pattern, and they look for very specific things, about 5 or 6 things that they were said, look, if these people don't have at least these 5 or 6 things, they're not even getting past. So they look in the Z pattern and are trying to, as quickly as possible, see if you have those things. A skimmable resume serves that up to them. A skimmable resume is not dense. It doesn't have big paragraphs. It doesn't have tiny fonts. It doesn't have excessive bolding and graphics. That is visually distracting and takes them away from assessing you. Your resume needs to be plain as toast, simplified, and easy to read, what's called the top fold. Because when they open it, the top fold of the resume is the first thing they see. If you can get those 5 or 6 things correctly in the top fold of the resume, oh my gosh, you will get past the human eye. Okay? So please understand, a 6-second skimmable, readable resume is what you need in this market. And then you have to PDF it, and you've got to get it in the hands of the people that can look at it. Right now, the name of the game in job search is getting human eyes on your resume, not an ATS system. Not an ATS system, okay? So there is no such thing as an ATS-friendly resume. There is no such thing as a template. And anybody that tells you that or says they're going to charge you several $100s to do one is scamming you. I'm dead serious, okay? I have a real issue with resume writers because they take advantage of people that are in a vulnerable position. What they do is they build you a resume that makes you feel better about yourself, right? They use fancy language and they make you sound all important. And that is the exact opposite of what recruiters want. And so every single day, somebody comes into work at Daily and says, I spent $300 on a resume. I spent $1,000 on the resume, didn't get a single job interview. And we have to tell them this. And then we take a look at the resume, because my coaching team and I will look at your resume and tell you what's wrong. And it's like heartbreaking the scams out there. So please don't fall for it. Okay. Yep. I'm on a mission to make sure people understand this. Very good. Let's see. Hi there. Carolyn says, I have members who are over 50 and having a hard time finding a job. What advice can you give a person looking for a job who's over 50? Ooh, okay. Folks, if you are over the age of 50 and you're having a hard time finding a job, you need to understand the job pyramid. All right. I need you to understand the job pyramid. So let's break it down. When we all start in our career, we start out at the base of the pyramid. Think about how wide the pyramid is at the base. That's because those are low-level, entry-level jobs, and there's always more of them, right? Those are the worker bees, so to speak. Then as we gain experience and we start to rise up in our skill sets, we move to the middle part of the pyramid. Not as much as the worker bees, but still some jobs, some choices for jobs in there. Okay. And this is where most people start to get a false sense of security in their career. So this happens usually around your late 20s, 30s, and 40s. You're like, look at me. I'm getting a promotion. I'm getting all the jobs that I want. I'm in demand. I'm just go, I got this. I'm set. I got this. And you never paid attention to the pyramid because you don't get to stay hanging out here. That's the catch. Every single day, there's new people going into the base of the pyramid, pushing you up. So people will say it's age discrimination. And I'm like, it's not. It's the pyramid. You've got more experience. And one of these days, you're going to go from the middle to the top and look at the top of the pyramid. Look at how small it is. And yet there's hundreds, thousands, millions of people competing for this role. Competition gets tougher as you get more experienced. And unfortunately, more experience usually comes with age. So my 50-year-olds, oh my gosh, this is the first time in their life where they're suddenly in the major leagues. And they say things like, they keep telling me I'm overqualified. Yep, because there's a huge band of people down here that are qualified in the price range they're looking for. You got pushed to the top of the pyramid. And people don't pay attention to this. So that's the first thing I need you to understand, okay? Top of the pyramid. It is more competitive by nature. It's not something wrong. It's not age discrimination. It is the competition level. Now, how do you beat out the competition? That becomes the key for us to answer here, right? Okay. You beat out the competition by knowing your UVA, and that stands for your unique value add. None of us are special, but we're all unique. We have a different combination of experiences and skill sets that create value, and that's what companies hire us for. The person that knows their UVA the best in terms of how they save money, make money, solve problems, alleviate pain. That's the 4. Make money, save money, solve problems, alleviate pain. When you can translate your UVA and talk specifically about that, you are now showing your highest level of value. And that's what they're hiring you for. So this is what I see a lot of 50-year-old pluses doing wrong, is they don't understand their UVA and they don't speak to it succinctly. And I'm going to give you an example of that. They go into an interview, right? And they say, I'm the jack of all trades. I'm the Jill of all trades. I can do it all. I got all this experience. I can do it all. Okay. Don't you worry. I got this. And you're excited because you remember early on in your career when you're at the bottom of the pyramid and you had no experience and you were fumbling through interviews. So you're like, whoa, I am the BMW and you're getting me for the price of a Honda. That's how you feel. Nobody buys a BMW for the price of a Honda. Nobody trusts it. So unfortunately, a lot of people over 50 send the wrong brand message. You are not a jack of all trades or a Jill of all trades. You are a specialist. And you now have to go find the roles where you can share that specialty. And it's not going to happen applying online because there's too much competition. There's too many people that look just like you. You have got to back channel. You need a bucket list of employers. You need to back channel, and you need to get that UVA in the form of a really tight resume in the hands of the people that can go, oh, this person knows how to solve our problems, alleviate our pain, save money, make money. Okay. That is how my 50-year-olds are getting job interviews right now. And I'll let you in on a little secret weapon. We've been using it for over a year. It's incredible. And full disclosure, it is so incredible that I partnered with them and I am now an advisor to this company because of this is how well it's worked. Okay. Video is the secret weapon for people over 50. Kid you not. Because remember how you want to be the Jack or Jill of all trades because you know so much? Well, instead of going all over the place, a couple of well executed, let's say that way, videos of you answering like a common interview question or talking about a common problem in your space, oh my gosh, catapults you. I've had so many 50-year-olds come into work at Daily and we show them how to use the McCoy mobile app. It's a mobile app that lets you record 60-second videos of yourself privately and then privately send it to an employer. So you send a little link to them and they can listen to your video. I have 50-year-olds getting jobs like crazy with this because they look tech savvy. They're very articulate because they've been doing the job a long time and they're putting skin in the game by saying, here's why I'd love to work for you. This is a game changer. It is the future. So my over 50 folks, Let's recap. 1, you're in the top of the pyramid. It is more competitive. Understand that. You're going to need a whole new strategy because it's more competitive. 2, stop saying you're the Jack or Jill of all trades. Tighten up your UVA, your unique value add. You need to know what you're the specialist in, and you need to have a targeted group of people to message. And 3, if you really want to crush it, use video. People always say age discrimination. It's not true, folks. They see you talking intelligently and confidently, and you sent this, and they're like, oh my gosh, look at this really intelligent, tech savvy 50-plus-year-old. This is exactly what we need. Lots of hidden jobs right now for those over 50 folks, top of the pyramid. Companies aren't posting those jobs because they don't want 10,000 applicants. You back channeling your way in with a video, oh, that's the chef's kiss right there. That's the secret strategy that can get you hired. Okay. I hope that made sense to everybody. Again, the pyramid's the pyramid. I can't change it. Don't shoot the messenger, but I can tell you how to work with the pyramid. I can tell you based on where you are in the pyramid, what you should be doing job search wise in order to get a job. And if that made sense and you want step-by-step how to do that, obviously we have an entire course inside Work It Daily, our membership, where you can learn to do that. Yeah. Yeah. And by the way, for those of you, like the McCoy phone app is in the iPhone store. Just go, it's free to download. And McCoy has an entire YouTube channel and a TikTok channel on how to use the app. It's so easy. Yeah. So all you need to do is download the app, and they teach you how to do it on TikTok and YouTube. Yep. Yeah. Listen, yeah, like the movie Intern. That's so true. Somebody just said that. This is exactly what it's like, and it works. It really works. Let's see. How to ask for a follow-up post-interview. All right, let's talk about it really quick, and then I got to bounce. If you've been on an interview, everybody always wants follow-up. They always want to know, like, feedback. How'd I do? Whatever. Here's the challenge, folks. That's not their job to give that to you. It's actually not their job. Okay? Your job was to sell your services in the interview. And their job is to choose the company they feel is the best fit. You're all businesses of one. So that's their only decision, is to choose the right one. It is not their job to tell you why they didn't choose you. And quite frankly, when you ask that, you make it very uncomfortable. Right? Think of it like dating. Okay? So you go on a date, and then the person said, and you ask the person for another date, and they say no. And all of a sudden you're like, why? Give me feedback. Why don't you want to date me? Awkward. Very awkward. Don't do it. Same thing when it comes to job search. They're the customer. They're shopping. They didn't move forward with you. You asking why makes it awkward. And I'll tell you something. If you want to work there someday, like maybe you didn't get this job, but you could get the next job, why would you make it awkward? I know that's a hard lesson for people to learn. Now, there are some awesome companies who do give feedback. And I'll tell you something. Anytime a company gives you feedback on why you didn't move forward, be grateful for it and thank them profusely, because they didn't have to do it. It's a sign of an amazing organization, and you should be grateful that they gave it to you. But most companies are not going to give you that feedback, and you should not solicit it. And I'm sure there are other people out there that will disagree with me, but I can tell you, being in HR and recruiting and hiring, it's like just such an uncomfortable feeling when people ask that. And most of the time they won't tell you the truth anyways. So why go there? Yeah, why go there? Awesome. All right, team. I actually need to bounce. I've got meetings for the rest of the afternoon with clients. If you want to be a client, you know what to do. You can do it free for 7 days over at Work It Daily. I've got personal branding, LinkedIn and personal branding class for all my members, by the way, all my Work It Daily members who are watching today. I love you. Remember, we've got personal branding and LinkedIn class today at 3 p.m. Eastern, 12 noon. We're going to look at LinkedIn profiles, talk about what works and doesn't, and how to brand yourself so that recruiters can find you. So those of you that are members of Work It Daily, right? If you actually have a membership, and you can get it with a 7-day free trial today, you can come to that masterclass at 3 p.m. Eastern, noon Pacific today, Thursday, December 5th. Awesome. Okay. For the rest of you, thank you for stopping by my podcast. I'm live Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursdays at 1 p.m. Eastern. This is called Just Ask JT. You can find me on LinkedIn, YouTube, TikTok, and you can watch all the recordings on YouTube. Yesterday, I discussed how to get a job in 2025, a job interview in 2025. Today, I discussed how to prepare for job interviews. Next week, I'll have a topic every single day, okay? Awesome. I love you all. Thank you so much for your support. And I really hope that I can serve as many of you as possible, okay? All right, team. Take care. Have a good one. Bye-bye.